Hello, 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 people of Earth. Welcome back. My name is Archer, and this is Back to the Mat, episode 8. This is a show where I, a former wrestling fan, step back into the world of pro wrestling after many years away. Um, I usually have like a whole thing that I get into here, but as I keep thinking more and more about this particular episode, I realize this might honestly be the same as part one. So, for those of you who don't know, I'm doing this sort of like an experiment, me coming back to wrestling, this and that, and every week I break down the show. Now, this particular week is a little interesting because I was kind of busy this week, and I thought, oh, let me do my surface area, surface level type of breakdown, uh, like do a part one and part two. Part one is surface level breakdown, like kind of initial thoughts, this and that, and then part two, which is supposed to be today, it is today, will be like more in depth. And as I was like rewatching the show back, I noticed that I think I basically talked about everything that I wanted to talk about in part one. Because in my head, I thought, oh, there's so much more to talk about. There's so much more to dig into the stuff. And to be honest, I think I did it. I think I did it in part one. So I'm gonna do this episode because I said I was gonna do this episode, and I was like, you know, this is part of this whole experiment. Go through it. But if you're watching this, going, well, I feel like I heard this already. Honestly, I don't blame you. You could just drop off or just skip this episode entirely because the slides have not changed. They have not changed. They're like not one bit. I didn't add, I didn't delete, I didn't remove. They have not changed. And after what happened on SmackDown and stuff, I'm like, when I do SmackDown's recap tomorrow, yeah, well, I mean, they're unrelated, but yeah, all right. There's a lot of I don't know. I don't know how to explain this entirely, but if you're expecting a much more in-depth show, which I thought I would honestly do. I rewatched the whole thing. I took my notes down and kind of like tried to gather them up and uh, to put everything together. And I realized, wow, it's kind of gonna be basically part one again, isn't it? Because there's stuff I'm not gonna talk about because I'm like I genuinely don't care. And then once you get rid of that, it's part one. So if you're watching this and you're going, here's the thing, don't even watch this episode. That's what I'll say. To save you your own time, don't even watch this. I'm just uploading it because it was a commitment I made to myself. But for your time's sake, don't watch it. But stick around because I'm gonna be as surprised as you are. I do have my notes, but I don't think I like halfway through. I'm like, oh god, it's gonna be another one of those off the cuff, isn't it? All right. So anyway, yes, I haven't watched pro wrestling in years. I'm coming back, and this is my weekly review show recap sort of thing where I go through what I liked, what I didn't like, what I enjoyed about the show, what I didn't enjoy about the show. Damn, I need some water. So yeah, it's time for me to rediscover all the things I used to love about pro wrestling. And today's part two of Monday Night Raw. This is a one-off. I usually don't do these things. So yeah, usually it's a episode per show. I don't really break them down. But here we are. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into it. My name is Archer. This is Back to the Mat, episode 8. Let's get into it. I don't even understand what I'm watching anymore. I tried to. I rewatched it again, going, maybe I missed something. like, like maybe, what is happening? But it just seems that they don't know what to do. Like, Seth is clearly injured. He's not ready to compete. He didn't even say a word this entire like segment. He just kind of stared at them. He just kind of stared at Adam Pearce, and I don't really get it anymore. I am like, they could have just done Seth via satellite, you know? They could have Seth via satellite. Put a, if you really want him to be in the arena, put a freaking spotlight on him. Something backstage, or I don't know, make it interesting. He doesn't need to be doing this ridiculousness. And also, like, why are you even attaching this silliness on Seth Rollins? Does this look like something Seth Rollins would come up with? Does this look like a Seth Rollins idea to you? Like, I feel like Seth is a really smart guy. Like, I feel like he's, you know, they call him the architect. I feel like he's planned out a couple of good, smart sequences in his life. The ruse of the century, the heist of the century. All of these different things. Turning on the Shield when he did. He's very calculated. This is just dumb. I looked at this and I go, my God, does he expect us to believe this? Like, what is happening, and why, and what's the purpose? Because it's like, here's the thing: it's one thing to have the people show up, like these masked men show up when you disappear, but for you to appear, it's a different thing. It doesn't make any sense. It's like, yeah, you can appear. Like, Seth should have just came out from the crowd and be like, hey, here, what do you want? And then to disappear, the masked men would show up to, hide the to make a bigger action to hide the smaller action of him disappearing or leaving or whatever you want to call it. And so this was just stupid. This was just dumb. And it's funny, like, there's a scene, I don't have the photo, but there was like a man when they were disappearing, like the last shot you see is like a dude who's on the heavier side, and I'm like, do you do you really expect us to believe that was one of him? Like, like they're all clearly not in this, like, the same body type or height and weight and none of that. They're just like, like a collective bunch of people. Nothing wrong with that, but I thought that was just something weird. Like I mean, whatever. I'm like thinking way too much about this, but yeah, I'm a little disappointed that LA Knight and Paul Heyman and this whole him stealing him or hijack. By the way, it seems that LA Knight did take him to the hospital, so I don't understand it. Why did you set that whole thing up? I thought LA Knight and Paul Heyman were gonna have a whole thing last week or leading into this week where he has him hostage or something. And instead, it turns out LA Knight, because we get a report like, oh, Paul Heyman, this is what's wrong with him. And I'm like, you're telling me this guy hijacked the ambulance just for him to do, just for him to take him to the hospital? Why would you even bother? Like, you're taking him where he needs to go anyway. It's not like something happened in between. This is so dumb, but you know, here we are. Here we are. But yeah, whatever. The Vision appears, whatever. Seth Rollins is a thing. LA Knight appears, attacks them. I don't even know why LA Knight is doing any of this, honestly. I'm still disappointed about the whole ambulance thing. Why did LA Knight come out? Seriously, can someone explain that to me? Why, if you're LA Knight, you're already outnumbered. But you like come out and you take off the shirt, the glasses, and you just go to. I'm like, for what purpose? What's the benefit here? What are you gaining? You let the hostage go. I keep saying hostage. Well, yeah, he is, right? He took him hostage. Well, did he? I don't know. He literally just stole some. He just stole the EMT's job, taking him to the hospital. Like, it's just. And then the Usos music hits, and I remember I forgot to mention this in part one. I was laughing when the Usos came out because they came out so slowly. Go back and watch that. setting. That that scene. The music hits, and the Usos are just like mean mugging them. Like, yeah, we're gonna come down to beat up. We're gonna help LA Knight, but they're walking so slow, and the music's playing, and it's all hyped up, and I'm like, if your friend is being attacked, you might want to run faster to help them. Pick up the pace, because they're all just like slow motion. Yeah, okay, okay, and then I'm like, guys, he's getting his teeth knocked out. Well, not like legitimately, but like like, he's getting beat up over here. Might want to hurry. Thought that was funny. And then Jey Uso, of course, he does the thing where, once the dust settles, run the music, and then they eat. So it started off silly, it ended silly. Um, it was a weird opening segment. This is golly. I feel like they're just flip flopping, and it's not consistent. I don't really know what to do. I mean, I don't have to do anything, but I just couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my god. Just when I think that like great good ideas are coming, it's like, no, it's not gonna be fun. Like they're not gonna make it a thing. This is not gonna be a thing. I don't know if they're like sizing the budget down. Like, well, we want to do an LA Knight Paul Heyman like week to week segment. We're just holding him hostage, but we just don't want to pay for it. We don't want to pay for the warehouse and all these things. And I don't know. This is me wishful thinking, but now we're gonna get into the Judgment Day and how it's finally just imploding. Well, they kicked out Finn, so what is really left? Let's get into it. I'm more curious to see where the Judgment Day really goes from here because I'm not saying like Finn was the glue of everything. I feel like Dom has done a great job and a great role as a heel, um, kind of solidifying himself as the leader of the group. I haven't been following the story much, but apparently it started with Edge, Rhea, Damian Priest, and Finn. And I feel like all the main characters, and then now that all the main characters are gone, Dom is still like, I'm not saying, oh, now that Finn is gone, it's over, like the whole thing is over. But I'm wondering like, where does this really go from here? Because there's no major players anymore. If you look at the people that left, they kind of had is the word status? They had like main event level placement, I would say, right? You had Edge. He's like a main. He's a main event star. I know he's in AEW now, but then you had Rhea, former women's champion. Uh, Look at what she's doing now. She's main eventing, not main eventing, but like she's fighting for a title now. However much you really care about that is uh, is up to the debate. But at the end of the day, she is in a in a main card, main event sort of slot, right? It could have gone to anyone, but it went to her. So that kind of tells you her placement and how they feel about her and how the people really feel about her. And then you have Damian Priest. From what I've gathered, he was a uh, WWE champion. He's doing something with R-Truth, but I feel like he hasn't. I really don't know, honestly. He might just be mid Carter. He might just need a moment to skyrocket and rise to the top again. But I'm more curious about where the Judgment Day goes from here. Uh, now that Finn is out, right? Finn was like the seniority of everyone, right? I don't think anyone in that group now has ever held a world champion. There's nobody in that group that has held a world champion. I don't think so, unless I missed something. Liv Morgan's doing pretty well. She's fighting for a title, so that's something. Um, so we'll see how that goes. Anyway, so Finn comes into the ring and he says for 2 years he's been trying to help Dom and guide Dom. But the more that he tries to help, the more that he tries to lead him in the right direction, he realized that Rey Mysterio was right, that he's a spoiled little prick. And after that line gets dropped, it's a 4-on-1 assault on Finn Balor, essentially, followed by Dom loading up the shoe with the hammer for the 619, and then he finishes it off with two frog splashes. I did mention last other episode that he did do he tried to fake out what is it? The fake out jacket Pele kick. That was pretty nice. That was a nice little callback. I enjoyed that. Um, I this is supposed to be like a part two, much more in depth thing. And I'm really thinking about where Judgment Day goes from here. But as I was watching this scene, I feel like I should just talk it out. Does it make it sense at all to do a goddamn frog splash on a steel chair? It's been bothering me. This is one of those things that's just been on my mind where I'm like, I don't know why he did it, and I'm like, it hurts you clearly more than it hurts Finn. It's a small little gripe that kind of just bothers me, and that's it. That's really it. But yeah, I'm interested. I'm interested to see this Finn Balor versus Dominic Mysterio match. Should be a lot of fun. So yeah, let's see where this goes. And next we're gonna talk about the CM Punk and the Usos. I know. This part two is very lackluster. So I legitimately thought, okay, let's really get into the meat and bones of this match. But I truly, I did not want to talk about that number one contenders thing. I'm like, I could care less. I don't care. The Obafemi Rusev, I'm like, okay, fine. The Danhausen, I wanted to talk about the Danhausen, but the problem was, I'm like, the the segment that everyone was talking about was the one where he's giving out the T-shirts, and I'm like, well, I can't really do much about that. It's a fun thing. They have him doing some fun stuff. It's nothing too meaningful, right? Because it happened during commercial break. But they are giving him things to do, and having things to do is better than just sitting around doing nothing backstage. So it's always fun. I was gonna say it, but I was like, I don't really know how to create a whole segment. I mean, I can, but I wasn't entirely sure. Is what I'm saying. Like how much or how little or the direction. Also considering that SmackDown just happened and there's a lot more there. I did notice that I think he put a curse on El Grande Americano, and that changed the characters of the Penta match. Like the wrong one came out, but I'm like, eh, eh, didn't really feel like talking about that either. This is this is not what I thought it was going to be, but here we are. Anyway, CM Punk and the Usos. This one should be fun. Let's get into it. What a segment, what a segment, what a segment. It's like last week didn't even happen to these people. You CM Punk comes out and they're all just cheering. They hear Cult of Personality and it's like, woo! The hero is back. And I'm like, did you guys not rem- hear what he said last week? You just love him regardless, don't you? Um, I say that like jokingly, but at the same time, I'm like, yeah, yeah. And it's funny. He mentions it too. He's like, oh, I thought you guys were gonna be a little mad after what I had said last week, and I'm like, I thought they would be mad too. I thought they'd be mad too, but the live audience is a much different one than the one at home. So, you know, CM Punk, he says, oh, I lowered myself down to a lower level last week after what I had said, and out come the Usos, and Jimmy Uso, you know, he starts saying, you know, this has nothing to do with Roman Reigns, but everything to do with respect. And at that moment, he calls him Phil. He says, he calls him Phil, and he says, I actually respect you, Phil, because you are the voice of the voiceless. He kind of goes, you're gonna go through your own path and do what and say what you're gonna do. He says, you are the voice of the voiceless. But last week, you disrespected my late uncle who has no voice. And in that moment, oh, you disrespected my uncle who has no voice, so apologize. And in that moment, I was thinking to myself, man, Jimmy is on fire because there was an interesting dynamic with the Usos. Like Jay came out and he's like, say you're sorry, say you're sorry. Like he just wants the apology. He's like, just you know what you said was wrong, so just say you're sorry, right? And Jimmy's kind of like the reasoning behind it. He's like, you're saying this is about Roman Reigns and you know how he disrespected you, this and that, but what you said disrespected the family, right? It's like a domino effect with these Samoans, right? Like you disrespect one, you kind of disrespect the other one, and it's like a chain reaction. So he's like, I'm not out here for Roman Reigns to defend like him or whatever. I'm out here defending my uncle, because he can't come out to the ring right now and say what he wants to your face. So say you're sorry. And he just refused. CM Punk just refuses it. Refuses to do it. Just absolutely not. Just holding his ground. And I'm watching at home and I'm like, just. I know that the stubbornness is not. I know that the stubbornness is there. And that's what's going to just prevent this from happening. But he goes into this like story time. And he talks about Sika's brother Alpha and down in Philadelphia and just goes through the whole like story of it all. Oh, I was learning from them. I respected them and they respected me, the family and each other, this and that. You know, and he's like, "Oh, everyone respected me except for this one." And I'm like, "Oh my god." He's just he is dancing around this apology that will never happen. And I'm like, "Oh god. Just say it." Like and it comes to a point where even the fans are now saying, "Say you're sorry." You know, you know you're wrong, and even though your ego, like he knows he's wrong, and his ego won't allow him to do it. But for the sake of this, just for the sake of who it's affecting, just say it. Like even for Punk, just be like, all right, I did screw up here. Just do it, because he's just dancing around this thing. He's like, I'm sorry that Roman Reigns, and I'm like, oh Jesus Christ, no. He's like, I'm sorry that Roman Reigns treated the two of you, the Usos, and the Bloodline like garbage, and I'm sorry how he has tricked you and the rest of the WWE. Once he got into that, I'm like, oh Jesus. Here we go. And I can't wait for Roman next week. The build is it's coming, man. It really is. But I like Jimmy, man. They should bring him on screen more often for these serious roles because I like the dynamic of the two Usos in the ring. I like that Jay is just like, these are the family rules you disrespect. You're kind of gonna pay for it, but because of I guess the respect that they have for CM, I don't know what relationship they have with Punk to begin with, but they're giving him this out, right? They're giving him this reason to go say you're sorry, and then everything will be square. And when he says it, and then he kind of like takes it all back. I'm sorry for Roman Reigns treating you like, before he gets into that, you could see like the smile on Jimmy's face. Like, oh, yeah, he said that's all we wanted to hear. And then he gets into it, and I was like, oh, jeez. And yeah, at the end of the day, I'm like, dude, this is not what this is even all about. Like, it has like, there's a bigger thing here, you know. But it should be fun. It should be fun. I thought I was really gonna have a long show today. I really did, but I guess not. I guess as I rewatched the show, I was like, oh my god, there's nothing. And I know I'm literally saying the same thing from the previous slide. But yeah, hopefully this is the last one. I don't really like to regurgitate the same material over and over. Um, but that was kind of like one of the weird promises I made to myself. I'm like, oh, you said you're gonna do it, right? Just so do it. So there you go. Not much of an episode. I don't even blame you if you skip this. Um, what else do we got? I'm trying to think from the whole show. What was the best segment? And I gotta say, may have been the Bloodline thing, but not Bloodline, the Judgment Day thing. Um, just because of how everything kind of ended up happening. I know I didn't even mention the punch, by the way. That was the other, the CM Punk getting punched. But yeah, it feels like even after he got punched, by the way, and I'm bouncing around here. Dude, it feels like he still doesn't care. It feels like he's like, yeah, whatever. And now I don't really know who I want to win. Do I want Roman to win? Because I'm like, yeah, take it away from this prick. Or do I want Punk to win? And I really can't find a reason for Punk to win. Like, I like Punk. He was one of my favorite wrestlers. But I'm not using that as the reason. That's as the sole reason for why I want him to win. Your guy wanting you to win, but having all like the reasoning behind it is not great. Is is what I'm trying to get at here. We'll see. We'll see. I doubt I'm gonna change my mind. I feel like I want Roman to win just because that feels like he's the protagonist in all this. Feels like he's the baby face. You can't really say what Punk said and be like, yeah, that's the good guy. It's just this whole WrestleMania, and I'm glad. Uh, I'm I'm happy about how SmackDown ended because now we're finally getting a heel in this scenario. But even now, I'm like, I don't even know if Randy's a heel. I think Randy is just like, dude, and we'll get into it in tomorrow's episode. But as a little sneak peek, I genuinely think Randy's like, dude, I just want my 15, and I don't want to be in this competition where I'm fighting a friend. Like I need, like make me like earn the the 15. You know, he's like, what am I gonna be, goody two shoes all the way to WrestleMania? So he's like, I need a little bit of hate. I need a little bit of something to take away from Cody Rhodes. And that's why he like attacked him. Um, I'll get into all of that and more tomorrow. But even now, I'm like, so we got two faces in this. We got Roman and Punk. But is Punk even like? How is he considered a face? How is he considered a good guy after this? We got Randy as a heel, but I don't even know if that's. Yeah, he's a heel. This is it. Like, yeah, yeah. But I feel like the reasoning is gonna undo things. Not entirely sure. We'll get into it in tomorrow's episode. That should be interesting. Um, Tomorrow's episode, SmackDown. What? Well, actually, let's do the outro because this is not the episode I thought this was going to be. I thought this was going to be a much more in depth, but I feel like I've beat that dead horse far too long. Up next, we're going to talk about Randy Orton's heel turn. When I say up next, I mean the next episode. We're going to talk about Randy Orton's heel turn. If it is a heel turn at all, to be honest, I don't even know. I think Randy's like, dude, I'm done being this nice guy. Like, stop. Like, I, I slapped your father in the face. Does that count for nothing? Do you not remember these things? Or did the slap that I give you completely like whip it out of your mind, out of your memory? I'm not entirely sure. But it should be fun. I think this week's SmackDown was a lot more of a fun watch. A lot had happened. I say a lot had happened, but I think the way it ended mattered the most. And that's what I'm excited to sort of talk about. And as you know, moving forward, SmackDown's going to be a very loose episode because who in their right mind is going to cover 3 hours uh, dot for dot? That's insane. So, similar to, well, not, oh Jesus, not this episode, but uh, it will be somewhat of an unfiltered, unstructured type of format. Um, there will be like kind of like a guideline for SmackDown, but more so, it's not going to be a this happened, then that happened, then this happened, and this is next. It's mostly going to be the talking points of what I want to talk about, but in a much more looser format, so that it's not, taking up so much time. Because, like I said, 3 hours for a SmackDown. Oh my God, Jesus. So that has been episode 8 of Back to the Mat. Next episode is SmackDown. See you then. Please like, subscribe, and comment because it does matter. The algorithm loves it when you do that. And starting next week, we are going back to the regular scheduled programming. I will legitimately try to have these episodes out as fast as I possibly can. Um, and sometimes I kind of go between, well, do I make the visuals look nice or do I just start talking and hit record? Do I lay out the outline? Do I provide like how many drafts do I got to do? But next week, back to this scheduled program. I'm still kind of working out the format, the structure for how I should do these shows. I've already changed how SmackDown is done, and this is before 10 episodes, so that says something. Um, but yeah, Raw will most likely be a consistent. Uh, I'll try to do it dot by dot, but then again, it's also what matters to the bigger story. And if I watch something and I go, man, this has nothing to do with anything, and I don't think anyone cares, I'll probably skip it. Um, yeah. All right. Stay tuned for SmackDown. It should be fun. I can't wait to talk about the heel turn and all the other good stuff. Let's get into it tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell.